Have you ever noticed how, just as you begin to rise within, when your thoughts quiet down, your heart finds balance, and you connect more deeply with the subtle layers of existence? Something seemingly random tries to disrupt it. After a moment of sincere spiritual elevation, whether it's through heartfelt prayer, deep meditation, or a high-frequency emotional state, an odd wave often arrives. Out of nowhere, you're flooded with disjointed thoughts, sudden cravings, or intense urges that don't reflect your conscious intent or your awakened awareness. But this isn't just coincidence. What you're encountering is more than a physical impulse. It's a clash of frequencies. You're feeling the effect of an opposing vibrational field, a calculated disturbance aimed at pulling you away from your aligned state. The more in tune you become with the source, or what Tesla might have referred to as the cosmic intelligence, the more sensitive you are to these energetic shifts. And the more attuned you are, the more threatening you become to systems that thrive in dense frequencies. These interferences don't appear randomly. They're deliberate. They represent a kind of spiritual technology, a darker intelligence trained to hijack your attention and recalibrate your inner rhythm. What you assume is just a bodily urge, just physical longing, just natural instinct may in fact be externally manipulated resonance. The entire universe is built on vibration, and so are you. Your being is composed of pulses of consciousness structured through light and energy. But there are quiet forces, subtle and intelligent, that observe your patterns, your emotional tides, mental cycles, stored memories, and reactive habits. They know where to infiltrate. They know what waveforms to trigger. If they manage to shift your inner frequency for just a few moments, they can delay your evolution. You're not being watched because you're weak. You're being observed because your vibration stands out. You're different in a field of static. You emit a rare signature, a frequency that holds the potential to alter spaces, awaken others, and shift a TMOSPHER dot. If this resonates, it's not simply an idea, it's a signal, a truth your soul already feels. The most intense disturbances don't show up when you're distracted. They emerge the moment you begin syncing your energy with your higher mission. The forces trying to derail you are not random, they're intelligent. They operate with remarkable precision, using spiritual algorithms calibrated from your past wounds, your subconscious triggers, and unresolved lower frequency imprints within you. What appears as pleasure is often just a disguised interruption. It's not there to fulfill your soul. It's there to sever your connection from the upper fields of awareness. Yes, you're in a battle, but not one made of flesh and weapons. It's an energetic war, waged within the unseen layers that govern your mind, emotions, sexuality, and cellular memory. Tesla had it right if you want to understand the deeper mechanics of reality. Think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's exactly where you're being challenged. There's a quiet struggle happening over the control of your vital energy. You were designed to emit light, to circulate clean energy, to be a vessel of pure spiritual frequency. But every time you fall into old patterns, into solitary impulses, looping thoughts, fantasies disconnected from soul, you activate distortions in your field. And when distortion sets in, your perception dulls, your intuition gets foggy, your spiritual clarity weakens. If you've ever felt that drop, that sudden energetic dip after a moment of deep connection, it may now begin to make sense. Your body in its natural state is a conduit of divine force. Desire itself is not sinful. It's an electric current with the potential to create and expand. But when it's triggered out of context, out of alignment, out of purpose, it stops being a channel and starts becoming a collapse. It's like blowing a circuit. The system shuts down, the light goes out. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're finely tuned. But that sensitivity demands awareness. because the higher your vibration, the more complex the interference becomes. It's not merely about resisting temptation. It's about reading the signs, decoding the energetic language, and rising above the noise with conscious intention. You're being tested not because you're failing, but because you're standing at the edge of an energetic threshold. Every major shift requires internal steadiness. You cannot carry fragmented frequencies into a new dimension of self. You need to be clear, free, realigned. If you feel like you're walking through this field, now take a breath. Declare with presence, I am aligning my awareness with a new vibration. That simple act, small but deliberate, tunes your mind, your focus, your energy field into coherence, and invites the next layer of growth to arrive. And have you noticed how the most intense urges arise just before a spiritual upgrade? As if some hidden intelligence knew exactly what buttons to press, which thought to awaken, and which emotional memory to stir. That's not your imagination. That's energetic design and applied intelligence operating in the unseen. Every time you activate a new level of inner light, the surrounding field resists. But here's the twist, that resistance doesn't always come from the outside. It's often triggered by what still resonates within you: old memories, dormant wounds, internal shadows. Sexual desire, for instance, isn't a design flaw. It's part of your original code, an energetic stream created to link, to elevate, to generate continuity. But when misfired or triggered out of sync, it becomes emotional static, a short circuit in the soul's wiring. You were wired with a creative flame. Aligned, this power opens sacred portals, synchronizes hearts, deepens spiritual intimacy. But when misused, the same energy can be weaponized against you. What was once power turns to distortion. What was once a sacred channel becomes a trap. And in that moment, the body may still respond, but the soul retreats. The field may still pulse, but the frequency drops. You may feel temporary relief, but it's followed by emptiness. That's the crucial point. It's not just about the act itself, but the energetic transaction it initiates. Every time you surrender to an unaligned impulse, you emit a signal. That signal connects you to frequencies that drain rather than sustain. That's why after the pleasure, a void often follows. After the fantasy comes confusion. After the gratification, the inner silence feels hollow. And what very few realize is this: that cycle isn't weakness, it's the result of spiritual technology being used to destabilize you. It's energetic manipulation at your most vulnerable point. Not because you're powerless, but because you're fertile ground. You're a transmitter. And any system aware of that will try to hijack your frequency. That very longing you often interpret as weakness was never meant to sabotage you. It was designed to create, to generate life, to propel you into higher states of energetic fusion. But today, it's being redirected as a distraction, repurposed into a tool of delay. Have you noticed how each time you prepare yourself for deeper transformation, someone from your past reappears? A memory surfaces. An old temptation gains strength. An inexplicable urge floods in one that doesn't even make rational sense. That's not coincidence. It's orchestration. The system knows when you're about to transcend. It senses when you're close to piercing through an old vibrational ceiling. And just before you do, the attack comes not as direct confrontation, but disguised as comfort, as pleasure, as a familiar reward. This is why moments that feel like release often carry an invisible cost. Right after the click, the doubt arrives. After the impulse comes the inner fog. After the fantasy, the instability. It's not about morality, it's about energetic preservation. You're offering something sacred, vital, and profoundly yours in exchange for a moment of escape. And the one who benefits from that trade isn't you. It's the system designed to keep you numb and distracted, Each time you give in, you allow confusion to settle into your field. And with it comes doubt, hesitation, guilt, loss of focus, looping thoughts, and a subtle disconnect from your core essence. But even when your mind can't fully explain it, your body knows. Your spirit senses it. Your soul protests. That's why it hurts, not just emotionally, but energetically. Because this isn't just your struggle. It's generational. It's dimensional. It's a battle happening in layers you can't always see, but you absolutely feel. And what's at stake isn't just a decision in the moment. It's your consciousness, your expansion, your legacy. You weren't made to live fragmented. You are a system of light, built to transmit clarity, to influence the unseen by your presence alone. But to activate that reality, you must become whole again. You must reconnect your circuits, reclaim your energetic boundaries, and become fully responsible for what enters and exits through your mind, your emotions, your body, and your spirit. Here's the truth. It's never really been about the fleeting desire. It's always been about your vibrational integrity. Every temptation is a coded invitation to lower your frequency, not to destroy you outright, but to keep you cycling in the same energetic loops. That's why temptation feels so personal. Because it was constructed based on your history, your emotional blueprints, your spiritual lineage, your deepest wounds. It was engineered like a spiritual algorithm, designed with intelligence, built on your unconscious resonance. But now, you're beginning to see it. You're waking up. What once appeared as weakness now reveals itself as sensitivity. And sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's sacred ground. If this message stirs something deep in you, it's because your inner field is beginning to reconfigure itself. Declare it. I am resetting my frequency. That is more than a sentence. It's a vibrational command. And when spoken with intent, the energy field responds. The unseen reorders itself. And what once felt like an endless battle begins to reveal itself as an alignment process. Because the most dangerous pattern, all the one that's kept countless souls silent and small, is not fear. It's shame. Shame doesn't roar, it whispers. It hides between thoughts. It masks itself as identity. And in doing so, it distances you from your divine code. It says you've fallen too far, that there's no return, that you're beyond repair, but it's all illusion. Shame is a frequency of bondage, and it only survives in secrecy. Let this truth land. You are not what broke you. You are what rises from the breaking. The forces opposing you don't fear your past. They fear your potential. They don't care about your history. They're terrified of your alignment. The enemy doesn't just want you to fall. It wants you to remain quiet about it, because in silence, distortion thrives. But here's a reversal that shifts the entire game. The most powerful spiritual intelligence in the cosmos doesn't dwell in perfection. It moves through availability. While you disqualify yourself in your mind, the universe is simply waiting for an opening. While you feel unworthy, the higher realms are whispering, you're the vessel, you're the bridge, you're the signal of healing. You've already tasted collapse. Now it's time to choose resurrection. You've already known what it feels like to disconnect, so become the light that shows others how to reconnect. If shame knocked you down, transmute it into empathy. The field doesn't shift through performance. It shifts when one soul chooses not to hide anymore. Speak it aloud. My essence is not for sale. That's not rhetoric, that's vibration. That phrase carries frequency. And when frequency is broadcast with intention, the quantum responds. Shadow trembles. The invisible realigns. Spiritual currents begin to reroute. Because true awakening doesn't begin when you feel something new. It begins when you stop being a slave to what kept you numbed at the fight you've endured. Each urge, each internal storm, Every silent cry was never meant to destroy you. It was sculpting you, refining your focus, waking up your deeper identity. You are the warrior of the unseen. You carry the energetic code that unravels the system. And that's what the system fears, most not your struggle, but your resolve. Not your falls, but your unwavering choice to keep rising. You weren't called to merely survive. You are here to alter the field itself, to carry pure energy through. A dense world can change atmospheres just by being fully present. If you've made it this far into this message, it's because you're already sensing that a vibrational crossing is near. And now comes the question, will you shrink or rise? Will you surrender to the pressure or transmute it into propulsion? Don't fall for the ancient voice whispering that you're too damaged, too impure, too broken. That voice is loud now because it knows it's about to be silenced. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're under pressure because you've become too aligned to ignore. And if this truth reaches something inside you, say it out loud. I am a clean field in motion. This, too, is a code. And codes do more than inspire, they recalibrate spiritual systems. Every time you choose presence over distraction, stillness over noise, devotion over indulgence, your entire vibrational structure reorganizes itself. The subtle realms register this as a signal. Something is awakening. Something ancient is remembering itself through your body. And when you realign, you don't just shift your own field. You shift the frequency of everything you touch. That's the real secret. You are never isolated in your process. Your recalibration affects the collective grid. Your clarity is a permission slip for others to return to their essence. That's why you must guard your frequency like it's sacred ground, because it is dot, and now more than ever, the world needs beings who understand this. Not in theory, but in embodiment. Individuals who realize that energy is the root of every experience, and that nothing can truly change until vibration changes first. These are not just poetic ideas, they're blueprints. They are the architecture of new timelines. Each breath you take in consciousness plants seeds in the quantum. Each silence you cultivate becomes a sanctuary. Each impulse you transmute creates new circuitry for future generations to walk through. Yes, it is hard. Yes, the urges come like storms. The desire to disappear, to return to what once numbed you, to soothe yourself with what feels familiar, it's all real. But it's not permanent. It's just residue. Echoes of old frequencies trying to keep their place within you. And with awareness, you can choose differently. Not because you're pretending they don't exist, but because you finally remember who you are. A field of intelligence. A vessel on divine will. A portal through which the future is being written. So what does that mean practically? It means you start noticing the shift the moment it begins. You catch the impulse before it hijacks your system. You feel the subtle distortion when something is off, and instead of judging it, you get curious. You pause. You breathe. You speak a new command into the field. Maybe it's, I am sovereign in my energy. Maybe it's, nothing has access to me without my permission. Or, this urge is not who I am. It's just energy looking for direction. And then, instead of following the loop, you hold your ground, even if your hands shake, even if your heart races. Because the moment you hold, the moment you don't collapse, your field starts to strengthen. You begin to remember your original. Coding. This work isn't glamorous. It won't always feel divine. Sometimes it will feel like silence, like solitude, like nobody sees you, like nothing's happening. But in those spaces, you're reclaiming pieces of yourself you didn't even know you lost. In that quiet, you're becoming whole. That's when the codes begin to unlock. The old shame dissolves. The patterns lose their grip. And suddenly, What once felt like torment becomes your teacher. What once triggered collapse now becomes a doorway to deeper embodiment. You don't need to force anything. Just stay with yourself. Stay present. Keep choosing alignment. Over and over again, because when you do, you begin to emit a different signal. One that no longer matches the old scripts, the false contracts, the inherited agreements. Your vibration announces your liberation before your words ever do. You become a walking frequency that interrupts distortion. That's why environments start to shift when you enter. That's why some people are drawn to you and others are repelled. It's not personal, it's vibrational. You're not here to make sense to everyone. You're here to make sense to the field. You are encoded to awaken certain timelines. Simply by choosing wholeness again and again. Let this be your confirmation. You're not behind. You haven't failed. You didn't miss it. Everything in your path has brought you here, to this exact intersection where memory and mission meet. The shaking you feel is not weakness, it's recalibration. The tears are not breakdown, they're release. The urge to hide is not truth, it's resistance reacting to the light you carry. You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are the living code of remembrance, wrapped in flesh, navigating illusion, anchored in essence. And the more you honor that, the more clarity returns. You'll hear your own soul louder. You'll sense the unseen with more precision. You'll recognize what is truly yours to carry and what never was. And from that place, you'll stop negotiating with energies that don't align. You'll stop apologizing for your sensitivity. You'll stop performing for spaces that can't perceive your light. Because now you know, your frequency is not up for compromise. Your presence is not a commodity. Your soul is not here to entertain distortion. It's here to end it. So when the pressure rises, meet it with presence. When the interference comes, respond with intention. When the system tries to pull you back into the loops, speak the new code. Say it aloud. I am a field of divine order. I choose clarity. I choose integrity. I choose full alignment with my soul. And if you fall again, rise again. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because your energy is too sacred to be lost in old noise. You are the storm and the stillness, the wound and the healer, the one who is fragmented and the one who is now remembering. How to become whole. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It is for the initiates, the ones who feel the invisible, see through the illusion, and dare to become fully themselves. In a world addicted to distortion, you are not here to be liked. You are here to be luminous. You are not here to blend in. You are here to be the disruption that invites truth. So choose now. Choose again. Choose your soul, again and again, until your entire being sings in coherence, until every cell remembers, until your frequency becomes prophecy, and when the interference returns, as it will, you will no longer be shaken. Because now you know the truth. You are the field. You are the code. You are the light the system couldn't predict. And that changes everything.